This picturesque farming community hides its sad truth well. Spend a few hours here and you'd never know that Mibakuri is blighted with one appalling statistic. This is the place with the highest rate of suicide in Guyana. And this is a country where more people kill themselves than almost anywhere else in the world. Rice farming is what brought Indian workers to this flat, fertile land in the early part of the last century. The irrigation channels they helped build made this once one of the most productive areas for the crop in all of South America. But rice is acutely vulnerable to the insect known here as the paddy bug. Pesticide helps keep these farmers' businesses alive, but at a terrible price. Nobody knows that better than Radhika Persaud. 6 members of her immediate family have committed suicide. Her husband, 2 of her brothers, and 3 of her children. Most killed themselves by drinking pesticide.
My brother one take poison. One of my big brother hang himself. He act when cut his foot and he blood poison. He got away from hospital and he come at Adventure Head there. He hang himself in somebody else's house. Now, me husband, the 1st of April, he commit suicide. Laugh, drink, sport, and commit suicide. And 3 of my children, them take it.
Radhika is as mystified as anyone as to why so many people she loved took their own lives.
Me not quarrel for me children, them. Just a dry. Them a sport, them a jai, them father jai, and take their life. My children, them, me never hang up on them or row with them. Because me grow them without some father. I don't spoil nobody home, me not talk with nobody, me not do a wrong thing to maintain me children them. May I God for faith and mercy.
Her late children she remembers as sweet and so soft. Every day it grieves my heart, she says.
Yeah, every day you grieve my heart.
Her cousin Thakur Persaud lives close by. He's chairman of the Mibakuri Neighbourhood Council. He tells me what he believes to be behind the scourge of suicide.
Some of them have domestic problems and so, right? And you know, the men, when they go to the shop or they come home, sometimes they work and they didn't bring money, and when they wife out, they had quarrels and so. And most is domestic problem, and the youths especially. Now especially with the cell phone, young people are calling each another, and many parents did not agree to get them married, they are underage. So most of them gone to suicide.
That seems to be part of the problem, that in these deeply conservative families, culturally adverse to talking about their problems, a younger generation is struggling to cope with the pressures and temptations of modern life. Thakur also alludes to a copycat culture here. Someone kills themselves and then many others do the same.
You get certain times, like when one take poison, actually the whole area, 7, 8 take poison too. Go river.
And the means for ending life is everywhere. The farmer shows me his stock of pesticide behind an unlocked door.
This is 5 gallons each, and you have liters and so in the boxes.
Couldn't the farmers here just stop using these chemicals, or at least not keep them at home? Impossible, he says.
But paddy bugs, the rate is very high at present. So farmers have to keep drugs at their home.
At the Georgetown Public Hospital, 85 miles up the coast, I meet Caitlin Vieira, a psychologist who trained in London before returning to her native Guyana. Vieira says almost every suicide she has investigated has been linked in some way to alcohol or drug use.
We have really low coping skills, really low coping mechanisms. When you go away, I spend a lot of time away. High schools have drug education, sex education, and all these things. Guyana doesn't have any programs in the schools. So we start off with basically little education on any kind of topic, any social issue. And obviously when we have bad coping skills, they turn to drinking and drugs. Almost every suicide attempt case I've seen has been involved with alcohol or drug use.
Poverty is also a factor. 54% of Guyanese live under the poverty line, and there's also a chronic lack of mental health care professionals.
I'm one of 5 psychologists in the country, and I work with 3 psychiatrists. They're the only ones as well in the country, so it's very lacking.
The other problem is all the psychologists are in the capital, too far for most patients to come for care.
Is suicide like a big stigma in this country, or is it the opposite? Is there a sort of normalisation of it?
A stigma in Guyana is still really off the charts with anything from mental health, addiction, sexuality. Everything is still highly stigmatized. As an example, our National Psychiatric Hospital is in Berbice, where the most suicides are, and they call it Berbice Madhouse.
Statistically, it's the Indian communities here that have been particularly badly hit by suicide. Little research has been done as to why this might be, but Caitlin Vieira offers her opinion.
They have a lot stronger family dynamic. As an example, when I work in these hospitals and an Indian family comes in, they have very, very strong family values, which does not really suit the environment that the children are in. So they're putting their children in these normal co-ed schools, right? And they expect them to not talk to boys or not drink alcohol, and this is not possible where they are. So they have very unrealistic expectations.
She set up a suicide helpline staffed by 15 volunteers. The government of President David Granger has meanwhile pledged to instigate a national suicide prevention plan, increasing awareness in schools and hospitals of the problem. There's also an initiative currently awaiting parliamentary approval to control access to pesticides. For Ms. Vera, the slow pace of implementation of that is frustrating, particularly as her research indicates that most suicides in Guyana are the result of a single spontaneous decision rather than long-term clinical depression.
You know, I love Guyana, I chose to come back, but I feel that if so many of our own people are attempting and committing suicide, we're failing them, right? We're failing them as a society, and what we're forgetting is that once the problem is in the community, the solution is in the community.
Local charities are attempting to confront the problem despite a lack of resources. Alex Foster is CEO of the St Francis Communities Developers Group, which runs outreach programs in the affected neighbourhoods. He's lobbying international aid organisations to assist in tackling the problem. He says it's hard to get much attention.
I'm in charge of the suicide committee in this region. It means that it's a full-time job because you have to be available 24 hours a day to people. Do the government or anybody finds it fit to support us financially? Everybody have to earn a living. No, the answer is no. Suicide is not made glamorous.
Unlike issues like HIV/AIDS, where foreign donors are concerned about the problem being imported into their own countries, Alex Foster does detect a degree of nonchalance about suicides happening in a place many can't locate on a map.
How to put it over? The donor agency support us for HIV and AIDS. And when I did question them why we were having a discussion on a daily basis, we have a number of discussions, and persons said that, look, international government will help us because we can take the virus into their countries. But suicide, we can't take it into the country, we'll kill ourselves here. So it's not one of their priority to support us, to help us here. But because we are traveling on a daily basis to their country, then we can take the viruses. So they will help us with HIV and AIDS. But with suicide, we do not see it as a priority because you're going to kill yourself back home in your country.
Back in Mibikuri, we spoke to Nadia, Radhika Persaud's granddaughter. Her father killed himself when she was just 8 months old.
Do you know people of your generation, like your friends, who've taken their own lives?
Yeah. Well, when I was in Form 2, one of my friends' sis commits suicide. Yes, one of my friends commits suicide. Sis commits suicide with her and her father have a little row between, and she committed suicide. Just for one little teeth and tongue, she committed suicide.
Do you feel that within the community here that you don't talk about your problems enough? Do you think you're a bit of a closed society?
Yeah.
As we left, Nadia told us that her hero is her grandmother. No one, she said, will ever know how much she suffered.